I feel that, but I've trained myself as a salesperson, as a marketer. The first sale you make is to yourself. And if you're kind of portraying this, oh, it's incomplete, or I'm not sure about this, it's not going to go well with trying to sell it. And I'm not saying, it's not about having a license to not tell the truth, but you do have to have some confidence in your product. And also by just being open and honest about, this is what it is now, these are our plans for the future, you cast the vision, that they can see where you're going, and that you're also, maybe everything's not 100% perfect or polished, and you're just open about that, but you're confident in your ability to help people, and that, you put a lot of passion into it, and it is good. It might be an MVP or minimum viable product, or it may not be the complete vision of what you have, but you have to I kind of like flip a switch in my mind when I'm going into more of a selling or marketing launching period, because you just have to be confident of people buy into it. If you're into your product, they're going to be into your product, and it's okay if it's not everything that you wanted it to be yet.
Yeah, I think about the conversation we're having now, and it's like, I say this on some of our calls, I don't know how this became a business consulting call. We're supposed to be talking about websites, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes that comes up, but it's, when I communicate with our customers, it's always like, you're not belittling them, you're just reminding them, like, the website is an element of your business. Mm-hmm. It's not your business. You are your business. Like, if you're a sole proprietor, you're the business. If you got a small team, that's the business. The website is a tool within that business structure. And I think a lot of people, like, when we opened the phraseology of this call, it was, if it fails, if it doesn't fail, the website's, if it's hosted and it's public, it didn't fail. If the tools are in there, it didn't fail. Whatever content you put in or how you portrayed that content to your projected audience is the failure point. And so there's constantly having to go back and evaluate and look at your analytics or however you're tracking stuff, and go, well, what's my feedback? How are people taking this? And what if I try this? And what if I try that? The site didn't fail. The use of the tool didn't work out to your benefit. Yeah. And that's a really hard conversation to have with some folks. But I think we need to be honest and just go, hey, the product's awesome, but now how are you going to use the product? How are you going to use the tool?
I don't know. I mean, one thing I was just thinking, I don't think exactly what you're saying, but I always try to look at, product launches or feature releases as like an event, not a destination. In that, because I have a tremendous amount of anxiety around releasing anything. It always it drains me, and I get to the end of it. Chris knows, because Chris has been in business with me for a long time. Things are ready for months, and I'm still not ready to ship them. And I'm always just like, it's not quite ready yet. There's still these problems, and I make excuses, and but like, once it's done, that doesn't mean it's done. Once it's public, doesn't mean it's over. So I always just try to remember, well, this is where it is today, and it's not going to be where it is in a month. And I also I have enough experience now where I look back on a lot of those release events. And even when they go poorly and the feedback is negative, that's just it's just a day. You know what I mean? It's just a period of time, and it's that kind of feedback is some of the most valuable feedback too. When something goes poorly, I played hockey when I was a kid, and I used to watch that Mighty Ducks movie. And if anybody's ever seen that, they win a game. They're losing, and they come back and they score 11 goals, and they end up winning the game by 1 in the last 5 minutes of the game or something like that. It's a kids movie, whatever. But the coach is all mad at the end of the game, and the team's all happy because they're all kids, and they're like, well, we won, coach, we won. And he's like, well, yeah, but you learn more from a loss than you do from a win like that, or you learn more from a tie than you would from a win like that. Because the kids played a terrible game the whole time, and they pulled it out at the end, and they got lucky. But if they would have lost, there's a lot to review, and they would feel that a lot harder than they did with the win, because you have that win to justify it. So anyway, all that to say is just when things don't go well, that doesn't mean you failed, like you were saying. That's feedback, and that's part of the business, that's part of the game. And if you could take a day off and lick your wounds, and then get back on there and look at it and say, now how can I use this information to make this existing product better, or the next course better, or whatever. That's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the game. So.
That's cool. Yeah, and it sort of, I guess, like you're saying, it's a false sense of validation for having gotten the win.
Right.
With a poor strategy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. That's an interesting.
It's a good movie.
The Mighty Ducks, yeah.
Well, the second part of your question was like, so what's the result, or how do you deal with it when it fails, right? And that's a great question. Like, how many websites are out there that just have nothing done for 8 years? They just keep renewing, or things just fade off and disappear. But I don't know. How do you, like, your first course is still up. I think my first course is still up.
It's still up.
I didn't shut them down. I don't put 100% of my effort into them, but I didn't shut them down either. And like my Power Sport Academy site is a perfect example. Like, it's a great site. It's a great product. It's got all kinds of content in there, but it doesn't have a lot of customers. And the temptation is to go, oh, it's a failure, scrape it off, throw it away. But you have to think about, there's all kinds of factors. Like, so am I ahead of market? Am I just early to sale? Is the community not built yet? And so you have to look at all of the reasons that you give yourself, or all the excuses you give yourself to want to give up or call it a failure and walk away. You have to reevaluate, because remember, the website's not the business, it's a tool for the business. And so it's, okay, so what element am I missing? And so if you're a writer, speaker, coach, any of those things, it's like speak or speak. So if you thought you were going to launch a website and become a well-known speaker, well, where have you spoken? Right? So get out and speak, get out and interact with local organizations, get some video, get some, do the work. And when you do the work, you'll start to see better results. I don't know about ever giving up. I mean, when you scrape something off and go, I'm done.
I don't know. Yeah. We've got features, we've got plugins that are just kind of like, they're there, they exist, nobody really uses them, and I don't know, every now and then you're like, I should probably shut that down and get rid of it, but I don't know, it's not really taking any effort, it's not costing us that much money, so I don't know the answer to that question, I guess.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. We could probably wrap it up here. So I just want to summarize real quick. We're taking a look at what makes course sites successful that we see and what we see in some sites that fail. It seems like it comes down to making sure we understand the business. We talk a lot about like frame control in sales, which is like the expectations and perceptions of people you're talking to, and making sure you're on the same page and what their understanding of the product is, or the business. And I think that does apply a lot here. Is the website, the course website, the tools you're using are a tool for the business, not necessarily the business itself. So focusing on having a successful business doesn't mean that this site needs to be successful when you launch it necessarily. It's about creating that community, cohesion, transaction, and results for your audience. Kurt, Will, Thomas, and Chris from Lifter, any final words? We're signing off.
I don't have any final words.
No final words, no final words.
Just keep at it.
Yay.